Yo, what's going on, guys? Ron here, aka Neos, and today, guys, we are going to be going over 4 different types of Elfnote that you can play in this format. And yeah, guys, it's going to be a great video. I know y'all are already excited, so let's get into it. Before we do, if y'all would, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. It really does help me out, and it lets you know whenever I post more content. And yeah, guys, so let's go ahead. We're going to get right into it. The first one we're going to cover, like I said, there is 4. The first one is an honorable mention, which is going to be pure Elfnote. As you can see in here, we have Regina, right? We do not have Regina yet, so I'm going to cover that immediately. Assuming, right, obviously you don't have the Regina because you're not an OCG player. Instead of the 2 Tinia, you play 3 Tinia, and instead of 1 Welcome Home, you play 3 Welcome Home. So this makes up for the Regina, right? She is a 2-card combo anyways because she needs names. So I just wanted to point that out right off the bat and get that out of the way. So keep that in mind. And then here, we'll go ahead and cut these back down because like I said, I already covered it. So here you have a lot of room for, since you have so many 1-card starters. This is a 1-card starter. Obviously, whenever we get this as a 2-card combo, I'm not going to talk about this one a lot. This is 1-card combo. This is a 1.5-card combo. This is 1-card combo. This is 1.5-card combo. This is 1-card combo. Right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is because you should always have a monster in hand. 7, 8, not 9, because you would play 3 of this. 10, 11, 12. You have 12 1-card starters basically, and then you have room for 21 non-engine in this deck. As you can see, we have 2 Bell, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, 3 Ash, 3 Fua, 2 Perulia, 3 Fallen of the Virtuous, 1 Call By, 1 Crossout. If you would like to instead, this could also be hand traps. There's plenty of options, like you could play Ghost Mourner, you could play Ghost Ogre, you could play Droll. As you can see, that's in the side here if you'd like. It'd be very reasonable to like take these 2, put these in the main. That way you could side deck the Crossout and Call By, and you know, like I said, you just have infinite room for hand traps in this deck, basically, right? It kind of has like the Malice property, where it's just like, obviously the engine's limited in Malice, but the amount of non-engine that this deck can play is just basically infinite. Also, I want to mention that except for the fact that you play Fortunia, you can actually play Dominus Impulse. Because Dominus Impulse here, if you read it, locks you from lights, earths, and winds. Which obviously, if we're not playing Regina, we have the only light we have is Fortunia, and then obviously this is an earth. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. It does turn off your Effect Veiler and your Foolos. And your Droll and Lockbird, right? So you could probably put Droll and Lockbird down here. You would still play the Foolos because it's just a really good card. Maybe you could cut down on like a Veiler, so you'd play 2 Veiler, and then 2, like you could keep the 2 Bell. Like there's just plenty of options, but I just wanted to point out that you can play this. It will turn off some stuff in your extra deck, like it will turn off Crystal Wing, it'll turn off QB, it'll turn off Stardust, it'll turn off Excel, it will turn off Ecclesia, but you're not really using that as a synchro. It will turn off Omega, Dragster, but just, you can play around that with that idea. Anyways, let's move on to the extra deck now that I was talking about it. As you can see, we have Cheng Ying, Gen X, Rose Dragon, Ruddy Rose Dragon, I should say, Crystal Wing, QB, which I'm going to go over this one because a lot of people don't actually know this one. Any card sent from the graveyard from the field is banished instead, so this has a floodgate attached to it. The reason that this is in the deck, because this is a 9, so you want an easy synchro to make. So you can either make a synchro 12 with the Patron or with the Excel, but when the Excel resolves, when you trigger it, more likely than not, you're not gonna be able to level modulate this to increase its level. So I just wanted a 9 that you could make. Obviously, on your opponent's turn, you could level modulate this and then use one of the 8s to make a 12, which then you can play like Vengeance Dragon if you want or something. But the reason that you do this is that way, like I said, on your opponent's turn, you can use this plus this on field to make to summon the Stardust Dragon. Then you make QB, which is a floodgate, and then obviously it'll be under the protection of Excel, which the monster synchro summoned by this effect is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects for that turn. I believe, yeah. For the rest of this turn, the synchro monster is, yeah. So it just makes an unaffected floodgate, which is obviously really strong. And then this also has the effect that when your monster declares an attack once per turn, you can return one banished monster to the owner's graveyard. So obviously under your own effect, if something gets banished, you can put it back in the grave. And it also has the effect that when it's in the graveyard, except for the turn it's been sent, you can banish 2 other monsters from your graveyard with different original types and attributes, which obviously you're going to have a lot of. Well, you do have a lot of spellcasters, but you also have like Earth Zombie, Fire Zombie, you have Wind Winged Beast, you have Water Aqua, and then you also have a Wind Spellcaster. So you can, mismatch these however you want, like Droll plus, Fire, Ash Blossom for your 2 different types and attributes. Pretty easy. And then obviously once you get the Cheng Ying, right, this gives you the ability to kind of like pair these together. So you could like summon this back by banishing 2, trigger Cheng Ying gets bigger, Cheng Ying banishes more stuff, Cheng Ying gets even bigger. So yeah, there's just a lot of synergy here. This also has synergy with Returns of Gen X. So your opponent activates like, whatever, you have fire, you have wind, you have fire, wind, water, earth, dark, light. I think that's every attribute. Fire, earth, wind, dark, light, except for like divine. So you literally have every attribute, right? Even if you don't count this, you still have it in this. Which obviously if you Gen X negate something, it's going to trigger your Cheng Ying. Cheng Ying's going to banish stuff. Cheng Ying's going to get bigger. And your opponent's stuff's going to get smaller. So it can snowball really quickly. Again, this also pairs with Rudy Rose. You can Rudy Rose, banish both graveyards. Don't really care about it. You could try to level modulate somehow, and then obviously make Cheng Ying, and then Cheng Ying's going to be really big, and again, like you just play from there. I also want to point out we have 2 Cheng Yings in here. That's crazy. Zalin. This is the other card that I wanted to talk about. You can make this very easily. For example, like Dragster. After you make Dragster and you pass to your opponent's turn, you can use it on their turn, and then when they pass back to you, if you can use it on your turn, it has lost 4 levels. You can go ahead and use your Elfnote in the center, boost its level, make it +3, so it's a level 4. You can make Zalon because this requires a synchro. So you can make Zalon because this will be a 3 at that time, this will be a 4, pretty easy. And then obviously big odd dragon, so with a negate attached to it as well. So also, we have Satellite Warrior. Satellite Warrior is when this card synchro summon, target cards your opponent controls up to the number of synchro monsters in your graveyard. Destroy them, and this card gains 1,000 attack for each card destroyed. This card, you basically make it going second. You just blow a bunch of stuff up, or you can make it like turn 3 or 4. You just blow a bunch of stuff up, and then it gets super big. It can trigger, it also triggers, your ability to, like I said, clear stuff, and then you have the ability to, if it gets destroyed, if this Synchro Summon card is destroyed, you can special summon 3 level 8 or lower Warrior, Synchron, and or Stardust Synchro monsters with different names from your graveyard, which you'll have 2, which gives you the ability to, push for game, kind of, as well. And then, yeah, but the main thing is like this thing just gets like really big and then blows, and also, like I said, it's an OTK enabler. And then, again, like I said, if it's removed, it does bring you back a negate. Keep in mind, Stardust is also a negate for if cards were to be destroyed on your field, so this can protect your trap card, your other monsters, itself. It comes back every turn. This card's really nice. And like I said, Satellite Warrior is just a way that you can kind of loop it. You have this stuff here for the Fallen the Virtuous package. And then obviously we have Omega. Omega can trigger Cheng Ying. Cheng Ying do Cheng Ying things. And then 2 Seraph because having 2 is kind of needed because just in case. So that's it for this, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next deck list here. All right, guys, so this is going to be the second deck list that I wanted to talk about. And this one is actually super interesting because this is Cool Tune. So I've seen like 1 or 2 people online that talked about this deck, but there's not a lot of talk about it, so I wanted to talk about it because I'm the Elfnote guy, basically at this point. I'm sure that if y'all went to Google and YouTube right now and just searched like Elfnote Fiendsmith, you're not gonna see a whole lot. Not a lot of people are talking about this deck, so I'm trying to take it upon myself to give y'all as much of the best content as I can about the deck. But anyways, here as you can see, we've got basically the full Cool Tune package here, and then you have like a small Elfnote package and then you have room for like hand traps. This is a very engine heavy deck, opposed to like the way Cool Tune normally is played, how it's like very hand trap heavy, and then like you just hand trap your opponent to death. You have like maybe like two starters, and then like you kind of like crack your opponent's like basically non-existent board, and then you just play super layered interruptions against your opponent on back and forth until you win, or OTK. So as you can see here, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 hand traps. These were like just the best hand traps that I could think of. Obviously, we have stuff on the side here as well. But yeah, guys. So, anyways, here, like I said, this is just basically like Cool Tune with a small synchro package. The reason that you're playing like 3 Tinia in this deck instead of like Lucinia is because she's gonna synchro lock you, which doesn't matter in this deck. As you can see, the only thing in this extra deck that is not a synchro is SP. So doesn't really matter about getting synchro lock, because you want to basically like synchro lock yourself and then tuner lock yourself, because yeah, that's just kind of how it does. And then keep in mind, you can normal summon one tuner during your main phase each turn in addition to your normal summoner set. So the reason that this works so well is because you get the additional normal summon of the Elfnote Patron, right? So you can do all of this stuff, and then you can try to get access to JJ, or you already do, and then you can activate it, normal summon one of the other names, and then you can like early set up a negate maybe, or whatever the case might be. So the extra deck here is pretty simple. Like I said, there's the SP. We have 2 Track Maker, 1 Remix, 2 RS, 2 Loudness, 1 of the Strelitzia, because to be honest, this isn't a Elfnote deck, it's a Cool Tune deck, so if this gets removed, so be it. Zaylin is just good to play in this deck, because the Cool Tunes already play it anyways. And then we have the Crystal Wing, we have the Excel, we also with Stardust, because you can just synchro with these very easily, use the level 2s to make, like Bestial Dispater, Chen Ying, whatever the case might be. Summing back from Banished, this is really good because you have the ability to put back stuff that gets banished off of your Cool Tune effects, like your Loudness War. So there's a lot of synergy here, but like I said, I didn't want to talk about this a whole lot because this deck is kind of jank, is the nice way to put it, because it doesn't mesh super well. But the next deck that we're going to talk about actually does mesh pretty well. Alright guys, so this is the second to last deck that we're going to talk about, and this is going to be the White Forest version of Elfnote. This one actually does bridge. It is a little awkward, but it can do it. And the amount of layered interruption that this deck can facilitate is very strong. So here we're playing like 3 of the Elzette, because this is like your best starter. We're playing 3 of the Witch because this is like your second best starter. We have 1-ofs of all these names here, which I'll move over just to like consolidate them. 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this. Obviously, these are your substitute tuners, assuming you don't get access to the Patron. So you have basically access to 4 either level 4s or 2 4s and 2 1s. So you have like a plethora of options to be able to synchro summon quite easily. You also can play the Diabo package here, which is just the 4 cards. Very easy to search off of, for example, like the Witch of the White Forest, for example, or however you want to do it. As you can see here, we also have the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, which gives you access to Guardian Chimera on your opponent's turn. So really, really powerful, like I said, layered board that this deck can make. And then we actually have a decent amount of room for non-engine here. We went for more of the board breaker approach in this one because, let's face it, you're playing White Forest, you need the spells and the traps. So here, I think Fulos and like the 1 Perulia is fine. Then the 3 Ash Blossom to beat the Fulos. And then we have the Imperms, the Evenly Matched, and then the Fallen the Virtuous. This could be Droplet instead. I think Droplet is also really good in this deck. You do have the ability to kind of like eat extra stuff out of your hand in case you need to. So yeah, I think that's fine. Fall the Virtuous is pretty self-explanatory, as you can see the stuff down here. Extra Interruption, you can actually make this Synchro Monster if you want quite easily. You can, like I said, level modulate stuff if you need to. And yeah, if you wanted to play like a single Albaz, that is definitely an option. So, but that's going to be it for the main deck. Onto the extra deck here. I already mentioned the Guardian Chimera. Again, we were playing Dragster. We're actually playing Black Rose in this deck because this deck just wants to like shatter like a board that your opponent made going first. A really easy way to do that is with Black Rose. You can make this, let's say they have like a generic negate, you can chain block it with the Patron to search, or you can go vice versa, chain block the search with the pop, which is really strong here. Zaylin is super easy to make. Obviously we have Cheng Ying again, doing Cheng Ying things. The Omega is just kind of nice to have sometimes. The one Seraphim, because this is mainly a White Forest deck, and the extra deck actually is a little tight. We have Crystal Wing, again, pretty easy to make. And then we actually have Vengeance Dragon. Vengeance Dragon is, you can hard make it, or you can make it off of like, this plus the Poplar. Obviously you can use any of the other 8s because this is generic, with like Patron modulating its level, or you can obviously use one of these tutors instead. And then we have the classic White Forest package, which this is pretty self-explanatory here, right? We have the one that lets you synchro, the one that lets you book everything face down in OTK, the Searcher, and then like the boss monster. And this is how you get access to Zalin like super easily without making it, hard making it, I should say. The extra deck's just kind of whatever here. I just kind of threw this together. It's inspired from another deck list that I saw. So if I can find it, I will put it down in the description below. So. But that's it for this, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the final deck list, which I'm sure that y'all already know what is coming. Alright, guys, it's the final list. As you already know, it's going to be the Fiendsmith version. To be honest, I think that the only other deck list that holds a candle to this one is the White Forest one, and I don't think it's because of how good the deck is, or like, I don't want to say how good it is, but the reason that it can kind of hold a candle to it is because the deck can eat interruptions, but this deck also does that, and I think that the White Forest version is just like a little bit clunky, right? Where this meshes very easily together, it's not awkward at all. You can max out on a lot of different things. You get to play an engine that's also a board-breaking engine. There's a lot of stuff here, so this is pretty self-explanatory. 3 Lucinia, 3 Tinia, 1 Fortunia, 2 Patron, 1 Spell, 1 Trap, 3 Medius, 3 Thrio, 2 Tract, 1 Lurie, 1 Lacrima, 3 Engraver, and then the rest of the deck is non-engine here. So as you can see here, it's 24 cards of engine, and the only brick in the engine is going to be the Trap. We don't play anything else. If you would like, you could cut one of the Tinias. I think that's perfectly reasonable, but I just want to see names, right? I would rather see like 3 starters in my hand than 2, and Tinia just offers me that. Drawing them in multiples kind of sucks, but you can, if you have to, you can try to normal summon them, assuming like you, for some, like you go like, you see like Lucinia plus Tinia, and you go like, you start Lucinia, and then you go like Lucinia effect, they impermanent, you don't have any other way to play besides a normal summon, so you just tribute normal the Tinia. That's an option. But yeah. So anyways, the main reason that I think that this deck is the best is its ability to hand loop your opponent in more than just the way with like Omega and Tinia, right? So everyone knows like you go like if you make Omega and then you have Tinia on field, you go past your opponent, they go draw phase, you rip the card with the Tinia, you go standby phase. If it was a card that you really don't want them to get back for whatever reason, if it's a quick play spell or whatever, you can Omega return it to the graveyard, they can never get it back, and then you rip another card during their draw their main phase. However, the other way that I wanted to talk about is the ability to hand loop your opponent because there's so much that they need to interact with. At locals, I've explained to a lot of people on how you're supposed to interact with the Fiendsmith engine because people have forgot how to interact with it properly. So if you start with Engraver, if I like say me and you were playing, I activate Engraver, you go, yep, that's fine. I activate Tract. You ash it. You have to ash Tract there, because otherwise I go Tract for Lurry effect. Even if you, unless you can like, I don't know, like there's just nothing good. You'd have to like DD Crow it. That's like the only thing, because you don't want the 2 Light Fiends engrave. You have to keep me off of 2 Light Fiends. The only time it doesn't matter is if I have 2 Light Fiends, as long as one of them is not engraver, right? So if I go, like I said, engraver for Tract, you have to ash Tract, because otherwise I can get the Light Fiend in the graveyard, shuffle it back, summon engraver, and that gives me just either an extra body that I can use, or I can, the potential there is limitless, right? Because now, let's say like you went and belled my Lurry, right? Well, I'm just going to summon engraver, shuffle back Lurry, and then I'm going to make Requiem, tribute, summon Lacrima dump the engraver, right? So now I'm going to have 4 Light Fiends in rotation, because I'm going to have the engraver that I had already, the engraver that I'm going to send, the Requiem, and then the Lacrima. So yeah, you're going to hand loop yourself. So you have to, like I said, if I start with Tract, that's fine. You can let Tract resolve. You can go, if your opponent starts Tract, you go, that's fine. They go Tract for Lurry, that's fine. If they go Tract for for engraver, and that's also fine. The only problem is if they go like Tract for Lacrima and then they dump Lurry, you might as well not even ash the Tract. Like don't even interact with it. Don't interact with the Fiendsmith stuff anymore, because it's just going to resolve, because they're probably just going to normal the Lacrima at that point. But if it's like Tract for Lurry, summon Requiem, then you ash the Requiem there, because that's how you just cut them from the entire line. Because now they're going to have the Requiem, which is how they access it from deck or hand, and then the Lurry, which is obviously just the free body that you get from Tract, right? They're the 2 most important kind of parts. So yeah, that's how you stop that. I don't really want to talk about the main deck too much. As you can see here, we're playing a bunch of non-engine, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which is basically half of the deck, which is really strong. If you wanted to, you could play 17, just an option. Onto the side deck, or not to the side deck, to the extra deck that I want to talk about. This is a bridge. This is also a boss monster. You can reborn it off of the Agnum Day. I believe I've mentioned this before. In case I haven't, I have now. Crystal Wing is your out to just dumbass boss monsters that have a level, whether it be a fusion monster, a synchro monster, a main deck monster, a ritual monster, does not matter. This is like your best out for Mirror Jade. It's like, I shouldn't say your best out, it's your most simple out. Because you just make this, go battle phase, punch Mirror Jade in the face, Mirror Jade activates during damage, and you just negate it. Doesn't matter. And your branded Draco Tail opponent takes 3,000 damage. This also helps you OTK with the Desiree. We have Dragster. Dragster's pretty self-explanatory. I've explained him already. 2 Seraphim. This is a Elfnote deck mainly, so you need the second one. Armades, not only being the bridge for the Light Fiend, also has the effect that if this card is attacked, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the battle step. There's been a lot of times that I have made this, gone battle phase, attacked my opponent, and done a bunch of quick effects. For example, Agnum Day and Desiree effect to negate. Your opponent cannot respond, right? So let's say you have like Agnum Day plus this on field, which is like what I had, I think, plus like an Elfnote monster. I was like battle phase, and he was like, yep, that's fine. I was like, Armades attack, and he was like, yep, and I was like, effect to equip, and he was like, response. I was like, nope, you cannot. This is during damage, or during attack deck, which you cannot respond to Armades. So I got to summon use Agnum Day to equip to Desiree, and then I got to use Desiree's effect to negate all of his monsters on the field, basically, or the monsters that were the problem, and then I just continued with my attack, resolved my attack, cleared other stuff with the other name plus the Desiree, and I'm pretty sure that I killed him because I also had Crystal Wing on field. Yeah, so I had like Crystal Wing, a name, Armades plus this, and I just OTK'd him because he couldn't respond. So pretty easy. Yeah, this is like obviously all the Fiendsmith stuff here. We're playing the Omega as well. Obviously, the Omega is just really important. This card comes up a lot whenever he goes to grave, whether I link him off or whatever the case might be, he gets destroyed. Being able to put cards back into the deck, mainly the trap card. I've done a lot of times where I just summon back Fortunia, I use the Omega, I put back the trap card, I go Fortunia, replace trap card, super good. This also lets you replace it from the banishment as long as it's not face down, obviously, so there's a lot of good utility that you get out of Omega. This is your board breaker option when it comes to your Fiendsmith engine. Like the most like complicated way that you can do it is you basically get Lacrima equipped with the Requiem. You summon Engraver. You go Engraver. You send a monster, right? So that's the first monster card that you send. It's a monster. Then you go Link for 2. You fuse. You make Desiree into Agnum Day with the Link 2, and then you go effect summon send sequence target a card on the field. That is 2 cards that you've gotten rid of now. Then you can go Battle Phase. Battle Phase, if you can clear something with Agnum Day, that's an option. Let's say you can't do that, right? That is an option. Agnum Day is 1800. It can clear a lot of monsters. A lot of monsters are like 1500 defense. So, like, for example, like Cartesia or like stuff like that from the Albaz stuff. Some of them are also like 0 defense or whatever. You can just clear them. Then you go effect equipped to Agnum Day to Desiree. You punch something else, that's 4 monsters removed. You go to main phase, you can go use the level 1, the Patron, to synchro because Desiree is a 9. Chaos Angel requires a tuner plus a non-tuner light or dark monster. So pretty easy, since this is obviously the tuner, this is the non-tuner light or dark, it equals 10. You make Chaos Angel, banish a card off of the field. So just with, and keep in mind that you can also chain block the search with the Power Patron with the banish effect from Chaos Angel. So you're getting a guaranteed search. So let's say like you search Tinia, right? You can get all of this from starting with either Engraver or Tract plus the Patron in hand. You can remove 5 cards, which 3 of those are monsters, from the field and chain block your search to start your full Elfnote combo. So this is the reason that you play the Elfnote stuff with the Fiendsmith. It just gives you all that utility that you really, really kind of need from a sub-engine. And then the last card I'd like to really talk about is just Link Spider. There are people that like, oh, you don't need to play it. It's not that good. It's just nice that you have a very, very simple, easy out to your nib token, right? They're just going to put the token in the middle. Instead of you having to expend extra resources just to clear the nib token to either link it off because like you want to make sequence or whatever the case might be, just get rid of it with the Link Spider. Worst case in scenario, you can put the Link Spider back like with Omega, right? Let's say you synchro summon somehow, you can synchro, put the Link Spider back. There's options. So the side deck here is pretty self-explanatory. I do want to talk about this right here, these 6 cards. This is just like you're going second and you don't think your hand traps are going to do you any good. You can side out like Valor, Imperm, and you put in Droplet plus evenly matched. And it's just like draw standby main, battle phase, end of battle phase, activate. If they have a negate or they have something, whatever a case might be, you go, okay, chain Droplet, and you can like negate, like let's say they have like a single problem monster that you think they might keep. Or like let's say you don't want them to chain like a bunch of traps, like if you're playing against Branded Draco Tail or like Magistus Branded Draco Tail and they just have like a huge full board, you just do this, that way they can't chain any more than just the one trap, and you're just gonna remove their follow-up, you're gonna remove their whole board, and you're just gonna play main phase 2, you're gonna make a bunch of synchro monsters, you're going to make a big Desiree, and you're just going to make a board that's just going to FTK them because they've got like maybe 3 cards in hand, 4 cards, 5 even, at the most, possibly, and you're just going to kill their follow-up from the rest of the stuff on the board, and it's going to be game over. So anyways, guys, this is all the decks that I wanted to talk about. I'll go ahead and make myself big for y'all so y'all can see. Let me know what y'all think. Tell me if y'all have seen these other like types of deck lists before. I'm sure they've been floating around, hopefully. I want to bring y'all as much Elfnote content as I can because, like I said, I feel like the deck is underrepresented, underappreciated, and underexplored as well. So thank y'all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when I post more content. And I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Peace.